Good evening. Welcome to today's class. I'm handling topic 8 of public procurement, and topic 8 is about public procurement contracts. So this topic we shall understand what a contract is, what is the content of the contract, what is the essentials of a contract. Remember, the aim of us coming up with any procurement is for us to be able to end up with a contract. Remember, as a procuring entity and as a contractor, a prospective contractor or a prospective supplier, your work is to get a contract at the end of the day. There is no one who may want to go through the entire tiresome procurement procedure only to be denied a contract. Most people, they start off the procurement procedure because the aim is to end up with a contract, either as a contractor or as the procuring entity. That entire procurement process takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. So there's no need for you to do it or go through the tedious procedure for nothing. So it means at the end of the day, we are aiming to get a contract, and this contract we can be able to supply goods, works, or services, and the procuring entity can also be able to benefit out of the supply of goods, works, or services. So it means a contract is a very special document, and it is the ultimate of any particular procurement process. So you really have come from far as a procuring entity and as a prospective contractor. Therefore, at this end part, almost the end of the entire procurement process, you really need to come up with a good contract to be able to help you carry out your requirements of supplying goods, works, and services effectively. So in this topic, we shall focus on this contract, understand how a contract is prepared, what documents are required in preparation of a contract. So we shall first start by understanding what is a contract. A contract is a legally binding document, and it has to be legally binding. It has to be legally binding, it has to be written, and it has to be presented. It has to have a copy. You have to keep a copy of the original contract. Why? Because it is a legally binding document, and it will one day save you in case of a dispute. You shall be able to go back and look at the contract agreement and see what did we agree in this contract that caused disputes, or what didn't we agree that ended up causing this dispute. So you need to understand first a contract is a legally binding document. Then you understand the elements of any contract. There has to be offer, there has to be acceptance, there has to be a lawful consideration, there must be an intention to enter into or to create a legal relation. Both parties must have the capacity to enter into a contract. The parties must enter into a contract out of their own free will. So those are some of the elements of a procurement contract. Now go straight to the contract. What is the content of a procurement contract? When you're preparing, because you'll prepare that document, when you're preparing this procurement contract, what documents do you require? The first critical document you require is called a procurement file. And if you think about a file, of course, it is a file or a list of documents which are put together. That forms a file. So what is in this procurement file? So a procurement file contains the entire information and documentation of the entire procurement from the beginning of that procurement to the end. For example, you'll find a budget in that procurement file. You'll find a procurement plan, you'll find a requisition document, you'll find a bid document, you'll find a bid opening report, you'll find evaluation reports, you'll find the professional opinion, and you'll find information on the award of a contract. So from the time you begin the procurement process up to the time you end that procurement process, all the documents involved will be put together in a procurement file. And all these documents will be able to enable you come up with a contract. Remember, you are preparing a contract. So a contract is not just one document, you just get it from, you get information to be able to include in a contract from so many different documents. One of them is a procurement file. So all those detailed documents have to be part of the procurement file. And when you pick a procurement file, it should help you come up with a contract. The second thing we are looking at is a contract file. So a contract file contains all the information in that particular contract, pertaining a particular contract. So it means if I have a contract for the supply of maybe goods, then all the information pertaining that contract should be in the contract file. What information is this? Number one, the appointment letter of the contract implementation team. Of course, there is a team that will implement that contract. You have to give them appointment letters. So those letters have to be part of the contract file. The original contract should be part of the contract file. Any modifications to the contract, remember, if you make any modification to a contract, you should accompany it with a documentation. So it may not really destroy the originality of the original contract, but you have to attach that particular amendment, that particular modification to the original contract. A copy of performance security, if there was any performance security, a copy of it has to be included. The project implementation schedule or the timetable for implementing your project, what is the starting time, what is the end time, all that should be part of your contract file. Minutes of the reviewing of site visits. If you went to any site, maybe it is the production site, you have to include those minutes in the contract file. The payment details, the completion certificates. Once you have completed a project, then certificates have to be in place. Disputes and how they were resolved, they also have to be part of the contract file. So apart from that, now you come straight and now create a procurement contract. So by now you have a wide idea of what a procurement contract should have. So when you're drafting that particular contract, there are some information you have to put in place. You'll first start with the background information. Then you come and write the contract management team. Then the contractor's details. So that is how your procurement contract should look like. Background information gives you all the information about the company together with the consultancy firm, if it is a consultancy contract. Then after the background information, the contract management team. Which team will be involved in managing this contract? What are their responsibilities? Number 3, you look at the contractor's details, all the details, their physical location, their addresses, etc. The scope of contract management, how wide is the contract, how will it be undertaken? Duties and responsibilities, of course, of different people who will be executing the contract. Communication channels, how will you be communicating? Review and reports. Most reports, how will you be reviewing if it is works? After how long will you be reviewing? And then after reviewing, of course, you have to be writing reports. Activities and timescales, what will be happening and what is the period of time they will be happening. That should be also part of the contract. And then any other information. Any other information that may not have been captured here. So after that, there are some few areas we can look at, the areas where you can be able to consider when you are drafting a contract. One is the amendments. If you are amending a contract, you can amend, you are allowed to amend or change parts of the contract because things change. You cannot have a static contract. So it means whenever you amend, that particular amendment should be part of the contract. So you cannot amend by just uttering words. You have to amend, write it down, and be able to agree that we amended somewhere, and those particular written documents have to be part of the contract. So amendments are allowed, and once they are allowed, you have to even document them. Apart from that, performance security is an essential element of a contract. There are some contracts that require the contractor to furnish the procuring entity with performance security, just to show that you can be able to perform. It's just a guarantee that you are showing that if you give me this contract, or if I end up signing this contract, I am capable of doing the responsibilities that I'm supposed to do according to the contract. So you furnish a performance security is in monetary form. So it means it's just a guarantee that I will be able to perform once I am given this contract. You know, most times you'll find someone has been given a contract and then they are not able to even have enough money or enough funds to be able to start off that contract. So that is the work of performance security. So it should be included very well in that particular contract. Advance payment, issues to do with advance payment have to be included in a contract. You should be able to tell clearly, will you allow advance payment, and under what circumstances are you going to allow advance payment? Because advance payment is not supposed to be acceptable. Why? Because you're not supposed to pay for something that you have not yet received. So there are some circumstances that you can be able to agree. Yes, we can be able to agree. I will give you 20% of advance payment, depending with the tender price that we have agreed. And this particular advance payment should be taken towards the original tender. You should not be able to do with it any other thing. So if you're going to do with it any other thing which is not related to the tender, then advance payment is not supposed to be accepted. So that is the part of advance payment. You should agree very well, and then when it comes to making payment to suppliers, the payment part should be very well stipulated. You make payment to suppliers at the agreed rate, after looking at the documents and making sure all the documents are okay. That is when payment is supposed to be made. There are issues like subcontracting. You also have to include them very well in the procurement contract. If there will be subcontracting, then the main contractor is responsible for the subcontracting. So that part of subcontracting, it should be very clear in the contract. In case you will subcontract anything, it has to be clear what are you going to subcontract and how are you going about it, to go about it. The contract implementation team, very important team in contracting. Make sure that team is there. Their work is to monitor performance of the contract, ensure that the contractor submits the documentation, ensure that the entity meets all the payments, ensure the right quality and right time have been adhered to, review any contract variation. That is the work of a contract implementation team. So they come in at the implementation stage to make sure that the implementation of the contract is done very well. There are other issues you consider like risk management. Every contract has a risk. There are risks that you can be able to foresee. So you have to look at the risks that are likely to occur in a particular contract, and then you try and find out the mitigation measures to be able to take in place to avoid adverse consequences caused by the risk. So that risk part, in case of any risks that are likely to occur, you have to capture them very well in the contract. So that is it. Basically, some risks, I can mention few of them: incorrect specification, suppliers lacking sufficient resources, production problems, quality problems, shipment details, inflation, unexpected events. All of them are risks. So cater for the risks in your contract and then try and find out mitigation measures towards the risk. So once you've done that, contract is monitored according to how it is supposed to be monitored, maybe monthly, quarterly, etc. And then you close out a contract. The end of it all is to close out a contract. Closing out a contract means you have fulfilled your part of the contract. The contractor has fulfilled their part of their contract. Now the contract has come to an end. You close it out. You close that file, literally. You close the file and say, we are done with this project. We are done with this supply of goods, works, or services. Now we are closing out this contract. Everyone is satisfied. The contractor is satisfied, or the supplier is satisfied. You're also satisfied. Then you end that particular contract. So, of course, after that, you will come up with contract review reports. Contract review reports are just to review the entire contract and make a report, recommendation. What happened, what did not happen that was supposed to happen, what can we avoid next time, because that is a contract that has gone through implementation and you have lessons to learn. So it means you can be able to come up with a very good report on how things went, how things were supposed to go, which things went wrong, and at the end of the day you can be able to recommend or even give recommendation. In case you do such a project next time, this is what you're supposed to consider. So that is a very long topic, but basically it just talks about everything to do with a contract. Once a contract has been given, from the details of what a contract should have to how you implement a contract, how you administer a contract, and how you close out a contract. So that is a very interesting part of public procurement for you to understand.